I never imagined that my actual health would be jeopardized because of neighborhood politics, but that's exactly what happened last summer. I had moved into Brookstone Meadows about 6 months earlier, a charming suburban development with pristine lawns, identical mailboxes, and unfortunately, a homeowners association that acted more like a dictatorship than a community board. I'm not exaggerating when I say the HOA president, Denise Holloway, had elevated micromanagement into an art form. From the day I arrived, Denise managed to find fault with nearly everything I did. If my garbage cans were visible from the street for even 10 minutes longer than scheduled on collection day, I get a notice. The trim color on my house, a shade called sand dune, didn't meet the official creamy ivory standard outlined in the HOA guidelines. My modest string of holiday lights apparently violated some obscure rule about seasonal decor conformity. You get the picture. At first, I made an effort to comply, hoping that it would earn me some goodwill. But it soon became clear that for Denise, there was no winning. No concession would ever be enough. Denise was in her late 50s, wore her platinum blonde bob like a badge of authority, and drove around in a white BMW SUV with a vanity plate that read, "Rules as one." She was a fixture in the neighborhood, constantly marching the streets clipboard in hand, often seen snapping photos or measuring flower beds. Her reign had lasted nearly a decade, mostly because no one else wanted the responsibility, and partly because anyone who dared oppose her mysteriously ended up drowning in violation notices. For months, I managed to stay off her radar by playing along. That changed the day I installed a small, unobtrusive package box by my front door. I travel a lot for work, and after a few packages disappeared, I decided to protect my deliveries. The box matched my house's color scheme perfectly and was tucked so neatly into the porch design that a casual observer would hardly notice it. 3 days after installing it, I came home to find an official violation notice taped to my door. Unauthorized exterior modification. Remove immediately or face a $100 daily fine. Annoyed but not surprised, I submitted a retroactive application for approval to the architectural committee attaching photos and specifications. To my relief, the committee approved the package box without issue. I assumed that would be the end of the matter. I was wrong. At the next HOA meeting, Denise unilaterally overrode the committee's decision, citing her so-called emergency powers as president to maintain neighborhood standards. Yes, she actually used the words emergency powers over a package box. After the meeting, I tried to reason with her. I explained that the package box wasn't a frivolous addition. It was critical for the secure delivery of my specialty medications, which weren't available at local pharmacies. Denise listened with a bored expression and replied, "Rules are rules. If we let you have your little box, everyone will want one. Then the whole community aesthetic will fall apart." When I insisted that my medical needs weren't optional, she smiled condescendingly and said, "Sounds like a you problem, not a Brookstone problem." That was the moment I decided I wasn't backing down. My health was at stake, and I had every right to protect it. The committee's approval was legitimate. I refused to remove the box. True to her word, Denise began issuing daily fines. 2 weeks later, I received a certified letter informing me that I owed $1,400 and had 48 hours to pay or face additional consequences. I contacted an attorney specializing in HOA disputes. After reviewing my documents, he assured me that Denise had no legal authority to override the committee's decision. Her so-called emergency powers weren't recognized in the bylaws. He drafted a stern letter to the board warning them of the potential legal ramifications. I naively thought that would end the battle. I was disastrously mistaken. The day after my lawyer sent the letter, I had to leave town for a 3-day business trip. I made sure everything around my property was perfect. Lawn trimmed, trash secured, no visible infractions. My medication delivery was scheduled during my absence, but with the box in place, I wasn't concerned. When I returned home late Friday night, something felt off the moment I pulled into the driveway. I walked up to the porch and my package box was gone. Not damaged, not tampered with, simply gone. In its place was a laminated violation notice stating that the HOA had exercised its right to rectify the violation. I was stunned. Exhausted from travel, I decided to deal with it the next morning. But when I went to the HOA office the next day, it was closed for the weekend. I checked my delivery status and confirmed the package had been delivered 2 days earlier. Panic rose in my chest. I scoured the property. Nothing. I knocked on Denise's door, trying to remain calm. She answered wearing a tennis outfit, visor perched perfectly atop her head. I politely asked about my package. "Oh," that she said with a smirk. "It was sitting out there for days, creating an eyesore, probably attracting thieves. I disposed of it." My blood froze. "You disposed of my medication? Do you have any idea what you've done? Those are controlled substances I need to function. They aren't easily replaced." Her face hardened. "You should have thought about that before violating community standards. Besides, for all I know, you were having unmarked drugs delivered." I protested that the package was clearly labeled from a licensed specialty pharmacy. Her only response was a cold shrug. "Take it up with the board. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a match to get to." As she attempted to shut the door, I placed my hand gently on the frame to stop it. "Denise, please. This isn't about HOA rules anymore. It's about my health. Where is my medication?" Her eyes widened theatrically. "Are you threatening me?" She shrieked loud enough for the whole street to hear. "Remove your hand from my door, or I'll call the police." I stepped back immediately. "I'm not threatening you. I just need to know what you did with my medication." "I already told you," she hissed. "It's gone. Maybe next time you'll think twice before challenging authority." With that, she slammed the door. I was in disbelief. Not only was my medication gone, but I wouldn't be eligible for a refill for another 2 weeks. I immediately called my specialty pharmacy. A woman named Laura answered. When I explained the situation, she gasped. "Wait, someone deliberately threw away your controlled medication? That's not just unethical, it's a criminal offense." "What do I do?" I asked, nearly in tears. "First, file a police report," Laura instructed. "We'll provide confirmation documents and request an emergency override from your insurance." I spent the afternoon at the police station. Initially, the officer seemed skeptical until I showed him the violation notices, the legal letter, and the delivery confirmations. His expression shifted to serious. He promised a full investigation. The next morning, I was drinking coffee by my window when I noticed flashing lights outside. I opened the door just in time to see Denise being handcuffed and led to a patrol car. Her face red with fury and disbelief. Neighbors gathered, some openly smirking. Later, I learned that Laura from the pharmacy had supplied the police with documentation verifying the controlled nature of the medication that moved the case from a petty theft to a serious felony. When questioned, Denise admitted to taking the package, but claimed she assumed it contained contraband and had thrown it away for the safety of the community. Unfortunately for her, the law doesn't allow personal assumptions to justify theft and destruction of prescription drugs. The dumpster had already been emptied, so there was no recovery. Denise was charged with theft, tampering with mail, and interference with distribution of controlled substances. Additional charges surfaced when investigators found several packages from other residents stashed in her garage. Facing mounting charges, Denise took a plea deal. She paid a $5,000 fine, was placed on 2 years probation, and had to reimburse the cost of my medication and those of several other neighbors she had victimized. The crowning moment came at the emergency HOA board meeting held the following week. Denise was stripped of her presidency in a unanimous vote. As she shuffled out of the community center, the woman who had once terrorized an entire neighborhood with her clipboard and smug sense of authority could not even meet my eyes. She passed by me and muttered under her breath, her voice trembling with bitterness. "I can't believe they arrested me over a stupid box. It was just a box." "No, Denise, it was never just a box. It was my health." And it was justice finally catching up.